Today, we are going on an absolutely incredible journey through one of the most complex and honestly underappreciated systems in your entire body, your digestive system. You know, we eat every single day, right? But have you ever really stopped to think about the wild adventure that piece of food goes on after it leaves your fork? Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to follow that lunch on its amazing path, from just a bite to the actual fuel that powers your life. All right, first up on our agenda, we're taking the grand tour of your body's own personal power plant. Its number one job? To take the food you eat and break it down into these tiny, tiny molecules that your cells need to, well, live. And here it is. This is the map for our tour. This whole pathway, all the way from the mouth down to the anus, is called the alimentary canal. Just think of it like one long, winding, muscular tube, and we're about to follow it from the very beginning to the very end. The whole process really can be broken down into four main phases. First, there's ingestion, which is just a fancy way of saying taking the food in. Then comes digestion, the actual breaking it down part. After that, absorption, where all the good stuff gets pulled into your bloodstream. And finally, egestion, which is, you guessed it, getting rid of what's left over. So, let's start right where it all begins, that very first bite. The second that food enters your mouth, your digestive system just kicks into high gear. Okay, so right inside your mouth, or the oral cavity, the process starts immediately. Your teeth get to work, tearing and grinding the food into smaller, easier-to-swallow pieces. But that is not the only thing going on in there. And right from the get-go, your body uses this brilliant two-pronged attack. You've got mechanical digestion, that's the physical stuff like chewing and later on the churning in your stomach. And at the exact same time, chemical digestion starts up, using special things in your saliva called enzymes to start breaking food apart on a molecular level. Now, once you swallow, that food doesn't just fall down a chute into your stomach. No way. The muscular walls of your esophagus actually contract in this powerful wave-like motion. It's called peristalsis, and it literally squeezes and pushes the food down towards its next stop. So, from the esophagus, our little piece of food arrives at its next major destination, the acid chamber, also known as the stomach. This J-shaped organ is an absolute powerhouse. It's got these super strong muscular walls that continue the mechanical work by churning and mixing everything up, while the lining is busy secreting some seriously powerful juices to keep that chemical breakdown going. And just to give you an idea of how powerful the stomach is, check this out. This shows what happens when food meets hydrochloric acid, which is the main ingredient in your stomach's gastric juice. I mean, wow. It's an incredibly strong chemical reactor, and it can dissolve some really tough stuff. These gastric juices are basically a potent cocktail. You've got the hydrochloric acid, and then you have an enzyme called pepsin. And pepsin is a protein specialist. Its main gig is to just dismantle proteins. So how does the stomach not digest itself? Well, it's lined with this thick, protective layer of mucus. Pretty clever, huh? After a couple of hours getting churned up in the stomach, our now liquefied food is ready to move on to the main event. I like to call this next stop the nutrient marketplace, the small intestine. So this long, coiled-up tube is where the last bits of digestion happen, mostly in the very first section. But its most important job, by far, is absorption. This is where all those valuable nutrients are finally pulled out of the food and sent into your bloodstream to power your body. So how does it do this so incredibly well? Check this out. The inside of the small intestine is covered with millions, literally millions, of these tiny finger-like folds called villi. These things massively increase the surface area. So much so that if you could flatten it all out, it would cover an entire tennis court. It's wild. And all that surface area gets put to really good use. A staggering 80% of all the nutrients you get from your food is absorbed right here, in the small intestine. It is, without a doubt, the undisputed champion of absorption. Now, the small intestine is amazing, but it doesn't work alone. It gets some critical help from its neighbors, these accessory organs. The liver makes bile, which gets stored in the gallbladder, and that's used to break down fats. At the same time, the pancreas sends in its own cocktail of enzymes to finish off any leftover proteins and carbs. They're like the essential support crew for the whole operation. Okay, our journey is almost at an end. Whatever is left of our meal now moves into the final stage, the large intestine. Even though it's a lot shorter than the small intestine, it's definitely wider. And its main job is a little different. It's not really trying to get nutrients from food anymore.
Instead, its mission is to absorb water, vitamins, and salts from whatever couldn't be digested, basically compacting it all for removal.
And get this, you are not alone in there. The large intestine is home to trillions of helpful bacteria. They do a final little bit of digestion for you, and, crucially, they produce essential nutrients that we need, like vitamin K. That's super important for things like helping your blood clot and keeping your bones strong. It's a real team effort.
And finally, anything that our system just can't break down, like tough plant fiber or cellulose, is formed into solid waste. And this brings us to the very last step, egestion, where that waste is eliminated from the body, officially ending this incredible journey.
So from just a simple bite of food to this insanely intricate chemical factory that is working 24/7 to power every single cell in your body, your digestive system is an absolute marvel. It never stops. So it kind of makes you think, what will you eat today to thank it for all that hard work?